Good evening, Awoken, and welcome back for a election night special episode of Awoken with Aulden. As always, I'm your host, Alden S. Nance, and we have a big show, election night in Texas, Arkansas, and North Carolina. The first primaries of the 2026 midterms, as we will be following these throughout the calendar year as we head to the spring and further into the summer. Usually around late summer is the conclusion of these primaries. So tonight we're kicking things off, the inaugural primaries for 2026 midterms. Just before we go into it, Republicans have, I believe right now it's a 218 to 213 majority in the House of Representatives. That comes after Doug LaMaffa passed away, a congressman from California, and Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned from the House of Representatives. So, Republicans down a couple. However, they do have a slightly, it even seems odd, but a slightly more comfortable advantage in the United States Senate, having a 53-47 majority in the upper chamber of the United States Congress. What's this mean, right? One of those seats, however, might not be in question come 2026, come the fall of this calendar year. It's who that individual may be. And the incumbent Senator John Cornyn, a little background on him, been in office, I believe, since 2000 or 2002, the early 2000s, has represented the Lone Star State for a couple of decades. Now, he is seeking, I believe this would be his fourth term. He attempted a climb on the leadership bubble, ran for Senate Majority Leader once the Republicans had gained control of the upper chamber following the 2024 elections. He was unsuccessful in doing so. We all know that John Thune from South Dakota is the Majority Leader right now, and John Barrasso of Wyoming is the Majority Whip. So Cornyn is a standard senator from Texas, has been under some fire over the last couple of years. In particular, I believe he was one of the Republican pushed for the bipartisan gun safety bill under President Biden that caused some criticism from maybe more conservative voters, especially in Texas, right? So that's a little background on Cornyn. Seems to be a nice guy, though, right? Seems to be cordial, polite. Is seen for the Republicans as somebody that can, in an emergency kind of moment, can get on the Senate floor and calm things. Well-spoken, polite, cordial, all the good stuff, right? However, let's look at his main challenger and now political adversary, which is incumbent Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton of the Lone Star State. Paxton under fire recently with allegations, misconduct of marriage troubles with the wife, right? I'm sure you remember I believe it was last summer, the story dropped about there was a major concern with his marital affairs with his wife. The Attorney General took some hits from that. The public relationship with Governor Greg Abbott has since been severed. At least for a period of time, it was very rocky. It was quite rough. So Paxton has been a little bit trying to tread water on his own politically in Texas, but his big backup is he's more of a populist. He is attracting the energy and the excitement from everyday Texas conservatives, everyday Texas right-wingers, seen as his candidacy is worthy enough for the President of the United States, Donald Trump, to not make a public comment on who he will endorse. We'll get to that here in a second. And that could be for a variety of reasons. The president, there is a third candidate tonight. I do want to mention Wesley Hunt. He's a incumbent congressman from Texas, military background, seems to be a nice, polite guy. But however, he isn't a statewide office holder, so that's really going to hurt his name ID and status of being a known figure in Texas, especially when you're running for statewide. Being a member of Congress is great, and I'm sure he'll do particularly stronger than anywhere in the state in his district, but it's probably not going to be enough to survive tonight. Now let's get into why the president maybe or may not has made a comment or an endorsement, I should say, rather, for this race. Is in Texas for the primary, you need 50% plus one vote. So you need 50.00001% to outright win the primary. And with Hunt entering the race being a factor, excuse me, that throws a little wrench into the equation, right? That even if Hunt gets 10 or 15% of the vote statewide, that means there's only 85 to 90% of the remaining vote for one of the two other candidates to get 50% of that. So let's say Cornyn wins. Cornyn would have to get 50, and if Hunt gets 15, that means Paxton, would get 35 or so. That seems unlikely. So it seems like we are heading into a runoff in the Lone Star State. I believe that date would be May 26th. So we're talking about another, essentially 3 months on the campaign trail. They're just going to hop right back into it and do the same thing that they have been for the past year and a half now. Let's transition. Let's go across the country. Let's go to North Carolina. Back to the Senate majority for the Republicans. One of the most at-risk states and seats that they, in the general election, will have a troublesome time, I'd argue, holding on to, is the North Carolina Senate, the Senate seat. We've seen Democrats have been pushing to attempt to make the state more permanently blue on a regular basis. It hasn't really panned out, other than on the governor level, with Josh Stein succeeding Roy Cooper. Speaking of Roy Cooper, he is most likely certainly going to be the Democratic nominee for the Dems in November, and he will face most likely former RNC chair Michael Whatley of North Carolina. Both seem to be, we haven't heard as much about this race because I believe both candidates they anticipate things getting aggressive more towards the summer, but with a limited primary challenge, there's no reason to send all of your missiles in the spring when you're going to need them for the late summer and fall campaign when they're facing off in the general. It will be one of the most expensive races in probably North Carolina history between these two men. Roy Cooper being the former governor of the state. Something about him, he was elected twice with Donald Trump on the ballot at the same time. So he has the ability to pick up Republicans, or at least survive years that a Republican wins on the top of the ticket and he still survives under the ticket a little bit. Gets enough crossover votes, gets enough typical, and we saw Mark Robinson, right, the candidate, even though Cooper wasn't running against him, the candidate that ran against Stein, Mark Robinson, suffered a pretty bad scandal right before the general election campaign officially kicked off, and we saw Mark Robinson kind of crash and burn there. So the North Carolina governorship continues to remain blue, and that's why I think national Democrats are potentially excited for Cooper's candidacy and his chances come this fall. So we're going to be checking into that Senate race as well. Also, both North Carolina and Texas, both redistricted, following within 2025. Believe 4 to 5 seats are now going to be likely GOP in Texas, and an additional seat was carved out in North Carolina, NC01. Lori Buckhout is running for that seat on the Republican side, I know, against Don Davis, the Democratic incumbent. That seat, at least it used to contain Raleigh. That was the county seat, or the district seat, the major city within the congressional district. So battleground territory, it was always 50-50. Davis won the seat by maybe a point, 2 points in November of 2024, staving off a formidable challenge from Buckhout. So we're going to be taking a look into that, see who wins the contentious Republican primary in NC01. And last but not least, we have Arkansas. Arkansas, honestly, not a particularly exciting slate. In Arkansas, we now have John Calipari, the new coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. You got Tyson Chicken there as well. However, I believe Sarah Huckabee Sanders is running for re-election. She probably won't have much of a challenge. And you also have all of the congressional seats and the Senate seats won't really be in play come November. It's one of the states that is still going to be discussed at times, but in particular, nothing too exciting in Arkansas. So we'll be checking in and out of Arkansas a little bit tonight, but the key races are the Texas Senate, the GOP primary, and failed to mention the Democratic primary in Texas. You have Crockett of a congresswoman from Texas. I believe she's from the Dallas area, if I'm not mistaken, has really grown more of a national profile over the last 16 months with comments. You may remember attacking the disability of Governor Greg Abbott, calling him Governor Hot Wheels, saying he was a hot-ass mess, and Governor Hot Wheels is a hot-ass mess, something of that nature. And then James Tallarico, the main Democratic challenger to Crockett, appeared on Joe Rogan's show, appearing to brand himself as maybe more of a cool guy, but he's definitely more on the left wing than Crockett. He's certainly the Bernie Sanders acolyte in the Lone Star State on the Democratic ticket as well. So those two Senate races are going to be Senate primaries, in Texas, and then we have the coronation of the North Carolina Senate race general election matchup with Roy Cooper and Michael Whatley, Democratic and Republican tickets respectively, and NC01. See who wins the NC01 primary as well. So have a couple key races there for you this evening. However, just before we jump into the thick of things, I would love My name is Alden S. Nance. Started this show a few months ago, really trying to build a mass awakening about what's actually happening in Washington, D.C. If you've caught some of the live streams in the past couple of days, I walk around the United States Capitol, the Supreme Court building, other key government buildings, show you what's happening there. If you were around this weekend with the strikes against Iran, did 5 hours of coverage on Saturday for breaking news emergency coverage. Did an hour live stream in the morning. Then we did a 3-hour live stream to cover an anti-Iranian regime protest. And as well, we had a hour and 15-minute emergency live stream come that night where we discussed every little nook and cranny regarding the attacks in Tehran and the Islamic Republic in detail. So if you want breaking news coverage from someone on the ground in Washington, D.C., to hear from protesters and other key figures in Washington, please subscribe to the YouTube page, give the video a like, follow me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, Rumble, YouTube, and there's 7. And Spotify. We're on 7 different platforms. You can find me on all of them. We live stream. I do anchor shows like this on every Tuesday and Wednesday evening. And sometimes if there's emergency live stream needed for coverage, we will get on that as well. So please give a follow, give a like, share this with your friends that may be interested in politics, that may enjoy this type of content. Happy to meet new people and connect and build the Awoken community brick by brick, patriot by patriot, and day by day. It's a grind, and we will win. Winning matters because our biggest weapon on this channel is the truth and organic authenticity. I will never be fake with you guys. I'll always present you the truth as whether it's on the ground in DC at events or my truly honest opinion on the country. So please subscribe and leave a comment as well. Let me know how you think I'm doing, what you think I can improve on. I'm thick-skinned, so if you have any even negative or constructive criticisms, I'm certainly happy to hear them. Excuse me. Alrighty, so with that out of the way, we're going to share the screen, and we're just going to be taking a peek at some of these key elections for the night, and we'll also touch up a little bit on Iran, right? Actually, before we share the screen, I'll kind of do maybe what I saw today with Iran, what's going on there, as well. We know that, so a couple key events occurred today. Now it's day 4 of the conflict in the Islamic Republic. We have now, I saw a couple hours ago, the Iranians hit our base in Qatar, the largest military base in the Middle East, with some kind of a ballistic missile or some kind of missile. Also saw that there was a attack against a embassy in UAE, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, at least as of this very moment, the Iranians are hanging on. I'm not sure how long they can, or if they will much longer, but they have nothing to lose, right? I've kind of mentioned this a couple times before. They're going to go down kicking and screaming, so we're just going to have to keep an eye on that. Don't want to get too sidetracked immediately with Iran right now. Oh, and tomorrow for Awoken Wednesday, actually something pretty cool. Before I even started the show, before I even did any of this, last summer following the strikes against the nuclear facilities in Iran, that kind of got me thinking. That's when I become awoken myself and realized, or was thinking, why did we do this? We had a president who promised America first and explicitly campaigned on no new conflict, no new intervention within the Middle East. And it just got me thinking. I was thinking this doesn't make much sense, so I did a ton of history and research into the history of Iran, and I made a presentation off of it. It's like 55 or 60 slides, and it's my first presentation I really ever made. As you know, on most of the shows, I have a slide deck, and we go through them together. Right, so there's something for people to. There's a visual other than just for me talking. As well, you can find anyone online will chit chat with you, but I want to bring something else different to you to engage you and maybe help you understand or learn from my point of view. Right, I'm a visual learner myself, so sometimes I need to see the stuff, I need to see images. Right. So I digress from that little sidebar. You have now, excuse me, sorry, this cough has been lingering for a month and a half now. But I digress from that low side point as well. That I was just kind of thinking, why did we attack them? And then I learned a lot about the world, I'd say, learning about Iran's history. People like Mohammed Mossadegh, Reza Shah, the last Shah, Cyrus the Great, Alexander the Great, Ruhollah Khomeini, Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader that just died a couple of days ago. What the IRGC is, the Revolutionary Guard, other institutions in Iran, other historical, like the White Revolution of 1963, the Iranian Revolution of 1979, the other protests in the last couple of years in the Republic, other key Greek influence on Iran after Alexander the Great, even when Alexander the Great was ruled over then Persia, and then the centuries after he passed away or didn't rule anymore. Other important milestones and events. The 1943 Tehran Conference. Then that leads to the 1953 CIA MI6 backed coup to overthrow Mohammed Mossadegh. So a lot of stuff into Iran's history that I learned, and it really changed my perspective on the entire world. It made me think differently. So I hope I will give that presentation to you tomorrow night. It's all about the entire history of Iran. We will go through it together, and then we'll talk about major updates with the conflict, or I call it conflict because I'm hesitant to call it war. It is day 4, but if you saw today, the president, he was talking about boots on the ground or arming forces with boots on the ground, whether it was Kurds or another faction. So, we're just going to have to kind of see. Not particularly thrilled right now. However, it is election night, and we're going to try and make this a majority of the time and the topic. So, let's dive right in. Okay, got a couple of comments before we dive right in. At ZCVXS, beautiful, sexy dude, and believes the Democrats will take Texas, a bold take. All right, I like it. Like a little bold take. And Aulden is beyond delicious, and that I need ginger, honey, lemon tea. Yeah, I got some tea in the mail the other day that's supposed to help. So I've been trying to do my best to take my medication, essentially. So thank you for your concern. I deeply appreciate it. Okay, we are going to let's hop in here. let's go to Texas first, because I believe their polls closed at 8 p.m. Okay, let's see. Should be on. There we go. Okay. Oh, we have another comment from @RonWinance. Good evening, Ronwin. Thank you both to you and ZCVXS. Excuse me, it's a tongue twister a little bit. For joining the stream this evening. Thank you for being committed members of the Awoken. I appreciate your guys' support deeply. Okay, so let's get out of here and let's go Senate. That's the main dog, right? That's what we've been building up. That's if you haven't yet, maybe tomorrow morning after these races are over, check out the video that I did with the episode with my pal Nathan, a reporter for the Pundits Times, and we covered the Texas primaries in great detail, not only the Senate races, but some House races as well, particularly with Dan Crenshaw, Tony Gonzales, and Henry Coyler. Okay, wow, okay, so here's some, about a little over a third of the vote for both races. James Tallarico right now with a majority. So if this was tonight, he would avoid a runoff. It's almost like, think of it as getting a first round bye in the NFL playoffs. You already know you're in the next round, but you still got to wait for who you're going to play next. So that could have some consequence to it, right? He gets to maybe not cool off, but knows that he can maybe take a breather for a split second, that he won't be under fire, at least from on the Democratic side. But there's also a disadvantage to where he doesn't know his opponent, but maybe his opponent knows him. Whether it's the Cornyn campaign or the Paxton campaign, they're both going to know. They won't have to continue double dipping anymore on who the Democratic nominee is going to be. And Wesley Hunt, as I kind of predicted, that Wesley, if he gets 10 to 15% of the vote, that's probably going to stop one of the two, either Cornyn or Paxton, from outright winning. So we're going to be heading to late May for a runoff in the Texas Senate race. Let's check a couple other things. Wonderful. Okay, so let's look at some of the map. So we don't have any returns from Austin. It looks like the state capital of the Lone Star State. I think you have Dallas around up here. Yeah, Dallas. Right here, maybe. Okay. So that just goes to show Cornyn is going to be doing a little better with the more moderate Republicans, maybe Democrats as well. Some Democrats could cross over in that case. And Hunt doing about his average, just a little under the 13 or 14% he's at statewide. So we still got a lot of, we still got over almost 1.5 million votes at CZVXS. Cornyn is almost at 46%. Right, yeah, he's definitely doing well. A little better than I expected, to be honest with you. So I'll give the incumbent a little credit. As we know in politics, incumbents are tough to take down. Politics are very similar to King of the Hill. Once you get to the top, all you have to do is see other people heading towards you, and you just got to kick them down. So, and on the Democratic side, not much has changed. Crockett's close, but right now she would be eliminated tonight. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that for sure. Let's go to a couple of the key House races. A lot of these aren't going to be competitive at all. Let's go to... Okay, this is Texas House, so this isn't even Congress. Get out of here. Okay, well, yeah, let's go House. Okay, I'm mistaken, excuse me. Okay, so wow, okay, something early that we discussed on the show with Nathan and myself last Wednesday is you have the Toth against Dan Crenshaw race. That Crenshaw Toth was endorsed by Texas Senator Ted Cruz, putting Crenshaw at severe danger of not returning it come the 100th and 20th Congress. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on this one. And let's see Gonzales as well. Troy Nels cleared the field easily. Okay, wow. Okay, so now here's the next big primary for the Republicans is we see Tony Gonzales. Want to be very careful here, but we have an alleged affair with a former Hill staffer, one of his own Hill staffers, that there was some affair with his wife, had relations with this woman, and then this woman set herself on fire and committed suicide that way a period of time later. So a very unfortunate event for the situation with Congressman Gonzales. We saw Mike Johnson said that Gonzales needs to address the situation himself, that it's a troubling situation, but however, Johnson, he honestly can't really lose any more members of the House right now because Doug LaMoffa passed away and Marjorie Greene resigned early January, so he needs Gonzales to somehow not resign, or he'll even be down a additional member. So, right now it's 10 votes. Right now we got 10 votes in the lead from Tony Gonzales. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that one. So we got a couple new comments, excuse me. At Jenny Harrell says, hello there. At Beth says, how's it going? Hello. Hello, guys. Thank you for joining the stream tonight. Glad to have you here. And at ZZVXS, he won't stay in office. Unreal way to die by fire. Her husband has filed a lawsuit. Right, yeah, this is a troubling time for the Texas congressman. And he may not politically survive past this evening. But we're just going to have to keep seeing with that. So, Um, Brandon Gill, okay, of 26, as expected. A solid low dub. Uh, okay, so nothing crazy. Let's go to Henry uh, Sawyer of the Democratic side. In 28. Okay, so he's doing okay. He received a Nathan and I discussed last week how he received a pardon from the President of the United States over this corruption, misconduct, and allegation. So some big stuff there. But he seems to be, at least at this moment, doing okay. We know that he was the only Democrat to vote in favor of the Save America Act in the House of Representatives. So a big deal there for the Texas Democratic congressman. Believe he's one of the only few Democrats that remains in Congress that is a pro-life Democrat. Okay, have a new comment. Do you have an APAC tracker to see who their person is? I'm not sure about that. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I'm sure. So when I worked in Congress, if you listen to Thomas Massey's interview, I believe it was with, this past weekend guy. I can't. His name is slipping my mind. Oh goodness. Yeah, I can't. Young guy. I believe Massey went on his podcast. Here, actually, I'm going to check his name real quick because I need to know it. Theo Vaughn. Okay, so I believe he went on Theo Vaughn's podcast some kind of a period of time ago, and mentioned that most members have some APAC member that is designated to them or something like that. So I'm not sure about the Texas. I'm sure there is somebody that is assigned to them, but I'm not particularly sure maybe who that person is. So good question though. Okay, so now we need to go, let's go North Carolina now. Okay, wow. So they haven't even. We got a new comment from @Lucy J2I7M says, "Hi, hello Lucy. Thank you for joining the stream, and thank you to Skippy as well for joining the stream this evening. Glad to have you guys back. Nice to meet you guys this morning. As I said, we're building this the Awoken in real time, so we're adding more members to the community each and every day." Okay, and as I mentioned, right, the primary wasn't particularly going to be exciting or maybe challenging, right? Because Cooper and Whatley, they both knew they were going to be the nominees. And they're just, right now, they're at a spot to where they're trying to fundraise as much money as possible to get everything ready come summer, come fall for the general election. That's where all the money is going to be needed for. Right now, it's March the 3rd, right? The November, I think, is November 3rd or the 5th. Very early in November, right? It's always the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. So we're still several months away from there. That's still a long time. But now we know, arguably, that's going to be one of the more entertaining and exciting members and races to follow this fall. So we will, we're going to do a lot of coverage into that. And now let's look into NCO1, because that's the district that used to be the 50-50 district. It's probably now slanted GOP. Okay, so Buckhout has a couple thousand vote lead against Buck. So we got Buckhout and Buck. Oh, I have a new comment from @Brad Hey, Aldini, thanks for the election coverage. Happy to provide it. As I promised for now a few weeks that we would be covering the elections and that whole shindig coming for the midterms. I've been in local politics a lot of my life. I've worked the polls on election day. I've helped local campaigns. I've been very active on the election level. So elections are very important to me. So I'm very thrilled to provide you guys some great coverage there. And all of the other races that were competitive do not seem to have any really any issues or challenges with renominations or who's going to become the nominee, except this first district election. Let's go to the Democrats. Nothing. We got a couple close races, it looks like, in the 4th district. The 6th district is really about, 1,400 votes. And then the others don't seem to be too particularly exciting. So let's head there, and let's just take a look at Arkansas. I don't think Arkansas is going to be that exciting, but we should still look at it. Yeah, see, there's not even any of the key races are worth looking at, according to NBC, for Arkansas, at least. But we're going to head there anyway. Okay, no problem. Kind of weird that they already know the percentages, even though no votes have been cast. However, Cotton, we know Cotton as maybe more establishment, maybe more, I think he's an Iraq war veteran. We see him, if you've been following the Iran coverage, he's been on Fox a lot the last couple of days, reaffirming and recommitting Trump admin talking points, right? Him, Mark Wayne Mullen in particular, Lindsey Graham, a few of those guys have been really kind of been spokespeople for the Trump admin when it comes to this conflict. And looks like Hallie Schaffner went to the Arkansas primary for the Democratic nomination in Texas, beating out Ethan Dunbar in a non-competitive race. Same with Cotton. About a little over, each getting slightly over 80% of the vote. So clear domination. However, just look at the raw votes, though. This just goes to show you why Arkansas isn't really particularly competitive come November. There's just Democrats are just outnumbered simply. We'll check out, see if they got House races as well. So you got Little Rock right here. Yeah, Cotton he's higher than the rest of the state when it comes to there. So now we're going to go to the House, and we'll check out Governor as well. Yeah, see, nothing even the incumbents don't even get a challenger. And for the Democratic candidates, right, there's... Okay, so we got a tight race in Arkansas's 4th congressional district between Russell and O'Donnell. Let's do a little deep dive into there. Especially Arkansas, right? It's not all that competitive, so might as well have a little fun with it. Okay, so everyone get James or Stephen to be the nominee. So here's the district. Ooh. Well, imagine you live right here and you share the same congressional territory as someone down here. Okay, so it's only a few counties. Looks like they've reported, but it seems to be by land a incredibly large district. So, yeah, it seems to be nearly from almost from the northern border to the southern border. It picks up everything. So, or not picks up everything. Covers a large swath of the state. All right, so let's go to the governor's race. I believe Sarah Huckabee Sanders is running for a second term. The daughter of Israeli Ambassador Mike Huckabee, also former governor of Arkansas, unopposed in the primary, and will face Fred Love, the Democratic nominee. He defeats Sufa Experia Mays. I believe I pronounced that name correctly. So, okay, so we have the Arkansas race. We'll go back and see what happens to the Arkansas 4th congressional district just for funsies, but there's really not a whole seemingly a whole lot of excitement when it comes to this state. So let's head back to Texas, because we pretty much got races we already got everything in Arkansas except Arkansas 04 for fun. And then we have the NC 01 in North Carolina. And then North Carolina Senate, that's already taken care of. But then in Texas, these races seem to still be outstanding. Okay, got a couple comments here, new comments. Want to get to at ZZCVXS. Definitely take zinc to recharge. And Skippy encourages me to work out and pick up heavy things repetitively. And don't read, I don't give a crud about voting anymore. The No New Wars president uses his word of peace to start a new war in the Middle East, and that we're cooked, brother. Yeah, at times like this, it seems it's disheartening, to say the least. Right, yeah, it just kind of makes everything, what are we doing here, actually, right? So I think your concerns are valid when it comes to that, for sure. Okay, let's go back to the Senate. Oh, sorry, I'm going to hit Texas. This race is already over. Sorry, it's been a long couple days. Yeah, we went for almost 4 hours today. If you were on the stream earlier, so really trying to put a lot of time into this channel. We're trying to hit that 500 subscriber benchmark, so we can achieve the next level of YouTube abilities. And also I believe once 500 seems, it will start accelerating at a rapid rate. So Paxton has regained some of the ground against Cornyn. However, it's still looking like, at least as of, that was another 150,000 votes released, that a runoff is appearing quite likely in the Lone Star State. So the May 26th runoff election day, it would just be Cornyn and Paxton. And we're really going to have to see the enthusiasm on the ground for Paxton. That's really he's going to need, a lot of ground game, and to get people that may not vote on a frequent basis to get out for his candidacy. And still, James Tallarico has expanded the lead and the Democratic side, which is quite, I thought Crockett would be doing a little better, but she always seemed to be more the, I don't know, louder, right? Maybe louder doesn't always mean better. Here we're going to look at that. So Crockett seems to be doing, oh wow, so nothing in Dallas County. At all. So who knows what's going to happen when it comes to that regard. Austin. Oh wow, so even these larger urban counties, Tallarico's just running away with it. I think San Antonio's like kind of over here, right? Corpus Christi area is down here, I believe, at least. Huh. Okay, so some big revelations when it comes to the Texas Democratic Senate primary. Still long ways to go. And I think Nathan and I talked about this on the show last week, is we talk about these counties, especially near Oklahoma, up here in the northern northwest a little bit. You have a lot of these some of these counties are the least populated counties in the country. Like less than 40 or 50 people live in the entire county itself. And right now, what's the raw vote number? Oh wow, so no matter, at least as of right now, okay, you do have 140 here. Let's see how many more candidates there are. Okay, so you have what? You have 8 candidates at least listed on this for the GOP side, and you have 3 for the Democratic side. But it seems like if you add it all up, there are more Democratic votes than Republican votes in total. I know it's just quick mental math, but um, I don't know. It at least seems to be on par, which is a little surprising to me because I was expecting that even Texas, uh, it's still like Democrats salivate at the mouth for winning the state eventually one day. Um, and at, I guess, here, where is it? At ZCVXS a couple of weeks ago told Nathan and I that they believe Texas would go blue. And not that I'm still expecting it to maybe go blue. It's you have at least some enthusiasm now on the Democratic side. And especially with there's at least it seems like more votes right now on the Democratic side, and there's more raw votes left outstanding as well, at least estimated. So that's just an immediate little observation there. So at Beth B4J8Z is surprised, and at Brad Harrell R4T says some reason to celebrate. Looks like Jazzy Crockett is going to lose. She looks like she's in a little bit of trouble. I agree. And with if Tallarico is running up the numbers in the urban area, like Austin and Dallas, then I think she's from Dallas, though. Brad Harrell asks, how's Wesley Hunt doing? Hunt is doing good enough to prevent a runoff, or to ensure there is a runoff in Texas. He's about 14% right now. Yeah, a little, slightly over 13%, 13.1. He's got a little over 141,000 votes. And his votes alone are causing a probably going to cause a runoff right now. So, which again, like you have a runoff, it's kind of like sudden death overtime in the football. In NFL, all you gotta do is get more votes. At Brad Harrell R4T, who does America First endorse between Hunt, Cornyn, and Tallarico? I'd say probably Hunt, Cornyn, and Tallarico. That's a good one, actually. Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. So Cornyn, talked about at the beginning of the show, slightly more, kind of more on the moderate side, more establishment. However, polished, polite, cordial, understands how to help the party get through a crisis moment, I'd say. Paxton, more of a firebrand / populist, but that's just Paxton's on the question. But Hunt has military background, seems to be a great guy, in all honesty. Nothing particularly upsetting with him or wrong about him, I'd say. We just don't know all that much about Hunt. And Tallarico, the Democratic populist, for sure, went on Joe Rogan's podcast, is attempting to brand himself as somebody who can be chill, but still, he's still left, right? So I'd say out of the three, probably Hunt. Yeah, I'd say probably Mr. Wesley Hunt there for sure. Very good question, though, Brad. Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. Thank you for joining the stream this evening. Thank you to everyone who's been joining the streams recently. We are rapidly evolving as a channel and as a community, right? We had during the stream earlier today, we had an awesome just conversation in the chat, right? It was on and off. It was 7 to 8 of the more active community members on the, like Bandit, Skippy, new fella, a gentleman from the United Kingdom, and a few others. Trosway was there, so we're starting to build a little recognition of the community. So, yeah, I'm pumped. Like, I'm really excited about this. Like, this is something that I look forward to a lot when it's Tuesday and Wednesdays to do these anchor shows. And as well, anytime I'm walking around, whether it's a protest or walking around the Capitol for a live stream, we're meeting more people and we're awakening more minds to Washington, D.C.'s reality. Okay, let's hop back to the North Carolina House. Buck out with around the same lead. With now a substantial number of the votes have been tallied, it seems like nearing 85%. However, any batch can flip things on a fast basis, so Buckout is still in a good position. However, not locked in, I'd say. And here's some of the blog up here. I want to read some of these comments from people in the live election blog. Is we have Ryan Noble says, could loss for Dan Crenshaw, foreshadow one for Thomas Massey. I'm not sure about that. I think Massey has, Crenshaw is definitely not the personality, doesn't have his own brand like Massey does. And Crenshaw Crenshaw upset everybody in the GOP base, I'd say. Massey has upset a certain sect of the base, particularly the president, and almost now the Republican establishment, you can argue a little bit. But Massey has a more of a unique brand. I think he'll probably be okay. And Steve Kornacki says, strong early performance by Ken Paxton and key Trump counties. And Tallarico performing well in counties with high Latino populations. Yeah, that's going to be his base. So nothing particularly exciting there. Let's check out the 4th Congressional District in Arkansas once again. Hey everybody, if you're just now joining the stream, my name is Aulden S. Nance. I started this show and podcast a few months ago. Looking forward to your comments and your questions this evening. Happy that you're on the stream. Thank you very much. Please leave the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share this episode with maybe your friends in Texas if you have any, or coworkers, family members, anyone that you believe may be excited or potentially intrigued by political coverage, whether tactics, the whole shindig. So happy that you're here this evening. Would definitely love if you subscribed and joined the Awoken community as well. Alrighty, so let's head back into things. Oh, still only 30% in, so we'll come back to that later. Let's go to that Crenshaw race, though. Let's see how many. Okay, so Crenshaw, he's down by a sizable amount. He may be done at this rate. Here, we're going to go full screen for this. This might be a big moment, actually. So we're not really looking at the Democratic primary. That's not particularly exciting. But yeah, Crenshaw. Yeah, like I'm not. Mm. So look, the district contains two counties. Yeah, Steve Toth and Dan Crenshaw with Plum and Etwop about taking maybe 400 votes per county each. But Crenshaw, yeah, he looks like he's behind in both counties by a chunkable margin enough, and this may be the end of the congressman's career, at least this stint of the what seemed to be a very, very promising campaign for Crenshaw or career slated in the House of Representatives, may be coming to a close. Quite shocking there. I'm sorry, I'm gonna going to check out got a couple of fans that have texted in. Um, hmm. Yeah, I had a friend text in that an Iranian missile hit the largest military base in the Middle East for us in Qatar. Hopefully everything's okay there. Um, yeah, this conflict has kind of made everything go a little haywire right now. We're going to be talking about that a lot more tomorrow, but let's stick on the election for now. So Crenshaw, he may be in trouble with only 31,000 votes left. And if he's down by this many, this is going to be a little tough of a time, I think, that he's going to have um, to regain that because, yeah, he's not looking good. Let's go. Actually, we're going to go Twitter and see if Dave Wasserman, I believe his name is, has said, I've seen enough for any of these key races. For 1 second. Now we should have X coming up. Wonderful. Great. Let's go to this guy is one of the top election guys, I'd say, on X. So he's calling the end of Dan Crenshaw's congressional career. Steve Toth is advancing to November, so Dan Crenshaw, one of the first incumbents that will not return to the House of Representatives, is defeated. And John Cornyn and Ken Paxton will go to the runoff, as Nathan and I alluded to last week. Al Green. Hey, if you were here for the election night bingo, on the bingo card, one of the squares I made was Al Green gets removed from the audience for a second time, and he did. I think it was almost like a pre-scripted fight in an NHL hockey game. The second the president began speaking, he was essentially removed. Um, so yeah, it looks like Tallarico is expected to dispatch Crockett. Huh, okay. So that's some big news there. Let's check out some other new. Yeah, so Crenshaw, yeah, he's done. Uh, and something I will say, back to Iran for a moment, is the info battle seems to be, it's very tough to actually see what's going, the truth over there. Something here, there was a, um, I've seen a lot of AI videos with uh, strikes showing, depicting strikes and within this conflict in the Middle East. A tip for how to recognize AI is the people, the voices in the videos will sound, not that the voice it sounds, it's the pacing of the voice. So be very careful about when you see that stuff online. Uh, watch, especially if the video is less than 20 seconds long, watch it a second time to make sure. Because right now I'm seeing a lot of this stuff going around, and it has tens of thousands of likes and shares and engagements, and uh, that's a problem because it's not real. So definitely, please be careful of that. Hmm. Let's go back to the NBC News website. At a comment from at Fred TM-E9F, elections matter. Elections have consequences for sure. Um, Up to a point, absolutely. Yeah, let's go back to NBC News, check that out. It's looking like a lot of the key races are being, yeah, within the next couple of minutes, it looks like they should be decided. So probably, at least it's now almost imminent that we'll get a call for, excuse me, for a runoff in Texas, for a, regime change in Texas 02. Looks like Dan Crenshaw is not going to have enough votes to recover. Tallarico's probably got the Democratic nod for Texas Senate for the Democratic side. Cornyn and Paxton, we'll see them again May 26th. Wesley Hunt, his campaign will end tonight. He will be eliminated from contention. Let's do one more check on Texas House. Al Green, he seems to be struggling, maybe not as defeated as Crenshaw is, but Al Green in the 18th district of Texas is struggling, to put it lightly. Yeah, Sellier of 28 seems to be doing enough. And let's also look at, see how Gonzales is doing. Gonzales is doing, there's still half the vote outstanding. We'll zoom in on this guy. Brandon here, I believe he's a big live streamer and YouTuber as well. Known as the AR-15 guy, I think he is, so something exciting there. And there's still some counties that haven't reported anything, so that's going to be, this one will be exciting to check in and check out on. Let's do another check-in on NC01 with Buckhout and other candidates. All right, so it looks like Buckhout has probably got it. It looks like Buckhout is going to squeeze at least at this rate. Buckhout probably has what she, having a 1,200 vote lead essentially. I think she'll probably be okay right now. So it looks like Buckhout will defend her title as the GOP nominee and advance to the general election, where she will once again, in a 2024 rematch, face off against incumbent Congressman Don Davis. That one will be exciting. Not as competitive a district anymore, it appears at least, but it's going to be tough to tell what happens this November. Alrighty, I think we got most of these. Yeah, Virginia Fox. Gosh, she's been in Congress for a while. We will go back to her. North Carolina Senate, already got that. So Cooper, Watley, let's check out our friends in Arkansas's 4th District. If there's any new revelations or mysteries to be unpacked. Still only a third of the vote in, so this might take a while to get some result. Polls closed in Arkansas only 90 minutes ago. They always close at 8:30. I think the only state that closes at the bottom of the hour instead of the top of the hour in the country. I think we got pretty well everything. Let's just go to tonight's races. Maybe everything's kind of bundled up right now. Yeah, so I'd say Lori Buckhout's probably got it. North Carolina. District 11, that seems to be a newly drawn district. Senate probably going to runoff for Cornyn and Paxton. Tallarico Crockett with Tallarico. Wasserman has called it on his personal accord for Tallarico. Crenshaw, he's worse now than last time we checked in on him, so he's done, I'd say. Some other exciting ones. So let's go back to Twitter one more time. And if you guys have any questions, would love to answer what you guys may have. Happy to chat with you. I had a lot of conversation earlier today, so still in a good mood to chat, get to know you guys a little better. That's what as large as we possibly can. Fred says, thoughts on Cornyn versus Tallarico. The advantage I think that Cornyn would have is that he's the incumbent. It's really going to be, and a lot of this, honestly, might not be in any of the candidates' hands right now. Because if this stuff with Iran, if we... it seems like right now, the admin may not be scrambling or panicking with this, but there seems to be maybe not as much confidence as there was Saturday with being able to toss the regime as maybe easy as they thought. Yeah. Still got the supreme leader, right? That's a big card off the table for the Iranians. However, it's a whole identity. He's just one guy, and there's going to be more opportunities, more people to step in when it comes to that. So if if we're still here in a couple of months, you might see something that could resemble a massive upsets in some of these states just to be an anti-GOP vote. So a lot of it depends on this conflict, I'd say. However, Cornyn, more established, right? But Tallarico, again, if you think you're going to lose anyway, you have nothing to lose. So he can tout the Joe Rogan experience that he had, show that he's young and hip. Cornyn is old. So is Paxton, for that matter, honestly. If Paxton wins and the runoff, Tallarico, just look at, and he looks young. and if a lot of people are just sick as usual from Washington, then he might be able to do something. But as Nathan and I said, or as Nathan said on the show last Wednesday, it's a dream for Democrats to win Texas, and that he believes that Democrats might do better than maybe a normal cycle, but he would be very surprised to see a victory from Tallarico or Crockett come November. Okay. Yeah, lots of Charlie Kirk accounts on Twitter now. Okay, so if you guys see the guy behind him holding the phone, I know that he's my buddy. His name's Chandler. He's Senator Mark Wayne Mullen's body man. Huh. Yeah, let's hope that tweet does not come to fruition at all. All right, let's go back to Wasserman though. We had nothing in the past couple. Okay, so he's called it for James Tallarico. So Crockett, her congressional career is put to a halt after maybe some hopes of being an exciting candidate. Crockett is stopped in the 2026 Democratic Senate primary by James Tallarico. That's all there. Let's see if there's any. Um, hmm. Let's go Lori Buck out. See what they're saying about her. Maybe some local North Carolina. Okay, so yeah, it's looking like most of Twitter is agreeing with me about Buckhout being renominated for Congress in the predominantly Raleigh district of North Carolina, northeastern North Carolina, I should say. Let's see what people are saying about our tossed congressman from the State of the Union, Al Green. Down by 6. Could get a runoff, so he could survive at least for another few months. Oh, I didn't see this either. Wow. Huh. Okay, wonderful. Uh, Yeah, well, guys, I think we have a pretty good encapsulation of what is occurring here. Let's go back to full screen for me. Yeah, I think we have a pretty good little breakdown and understanding of what is going to occur at least this fall, and at least for Texas for the runoff elections. Seems like some big takeaways immediately is that Dan Crenshaw of the second congressional district in the Lone Star State, his career is now over. Al Green could be in big trouble. A couple of big names in Texas politics. John Cornyn and Ken Paxton advancing to the runoff for the primary. Wesley Hunt, he is eliminated this evening. Any others in tech? Yeah, I think those were the main ones in tech. And James Tallarico. So James Tallarico will have a few months to where he can not have to attack, and he can go on the fundraising attack rather, and try and raise a boatload of money that it requires to run an effective campaign in a state like Texas. You need millions of dollars, if not tens of millions of dollars, to consistently be hitting your opponent with advertisement, print media, digital media. They'll have to sacrifice time to go on specific events and podcasts and other media engagements to really try and win over. What he needs is he needs to flip a lot of people or convince a lot of Republicans to stay at home, one of the two. So he'll have his hands full no matter if he gets Cornyn or Paxton, which we'll have to continue seeing. At least as of now, Cornyn and Paxton were close to the same voting percentage, which leads me to believe that the runoff is only going to be that much more exciting and intense for both of these men, hoping to continue their careers as statewide elected office holders in the Lone Star State. The redistricting seems to be working in the GOP's favor as well in Texas, that these seats, whether people like Al Green survive the primary or not, that they will all be ousted come November. But on the Democratic side, they did the same thing in California, so it's really just a trade-off. Let's go to North Carolina now. You have Buckhout seeming, I'd say 90% chance now that she will be renominated as the nominee for the GOP in North Carolina, the Tar Heel state, advancing to face Don Davis once again. They had their first election in 2024. Davis won by a couple of points. Very close and intense race there, as well as a marquee Senate showdown has been crafted officially tonight with former Governor Roy Cooper of the Tar Heel State. As I mentioned earlier, he won both times that he was on the ballot with Donald Trump, was elected back-to-back, won against, I believe, a GOP incumbent in 2016 as well, barely. However, that win propelled him to re-nomination and re-election in 20, and now has him a nationally top recruited pick for Democrats for this midterm cycle. He will face off against former RNC chair Michael Whatley, somebody who is seen as strategic, however, maybe doesn't have the same name ID as someone like Cooper, never had that statewide office experience. So we have NC Senate, NC 01, and Arkansas, Tom Cotton. He'll almost certainly have a cruise to re-election this November. And no matter who the Democrats these races are already decided. That's why even if you saw Wasserman's little tweet about the Cook Political Report election coverage, it did not even say Arkansas on it. It said Texas and North Carolina. So I still want to cover all the states, right? It's still fun. Every vote matters. Every election matters still, right? At least we want to have the political efficacy to continue to believe that. So, some exciting stuff. However, unless if anyone has any last-second questions, thinking about probably ending it here, I think nothing too crazy tonight. I'd say maybe I was a little shocked that Crockett didn't do better against Tallarico. But other than that, really, I think everything was according to plan tonight. So, at least nothing too unexpected. So, happy to field any questions if you guys have any comments about the elections or even other topics as well. We will be back. Probably do another vertical live stream in the morning. I really like doing those, getting to chat with you guys. We'll do that. And then tomorrow at around the same time. Started a little bit later tonight because the polls closed right at 8, so it takes them several minutes to start releasing vote totals in these states. So wanted to give you start a little later for that. However, probably around 8:15 something tomorrow we'll do the Iran presentation. As I mentioned, I did this presentation last summer. Learned about Iran's entire history, or at least as much of it as I could, and tomorrow we'll present that to maybe change your perspective a little bit on what's happening in the Middle East, or at least give you a different view of things than what the mainstream media may be telling you. So yeah, just thank you everyone today for tuning in. I had a great turnout. We're up 70 people tonight, so a wonderful viewership for this live stream as well. So very, very appreciative of you guys. Happy that you are here with us on this Tuesday election night. First primary election night of the year. We're going to be doing these all throughout the year, especially in the spring and early and mid to late summer, as we start heading towards this fall, the 2026 elections. We have a new viewer at Roy3121 says, "Hi Aulden." Hello Roy. How are you doing today? Thank you for joining the stream. Glad that you are with us on this Tuesday evening, election day. Just now we covered some of the key races that will determine the balance of power for the United States Congress for the 120th Congress, particularly Roy Cooper and Michael Whatley, the Democratic and the Republican nominee respectively, or candidates, have officially became the nominees in the Tar Heel state for this November. That's going to be a very exciting and intense and expensive campaign to see who replaces the retiring Tom Tillis. Came under fire from President Trump and other GOP Senate personnel for breaking with the president publicly a few too many times for their liking. As well, we discussed in Texas, we're looking at a runoff for John Cornyn and Ken Paxton, as Wesley Hunt will be eliminated from contention tonight, only garnering a little under 15%. That's what I was thinking. He'd get somewhere from 10 to 15%, more or less. And Arkansas, nothing too extraordinary there either. So that's a quick little recap. Looks like Lori Buckhout. Here, I'll do a quick little check on it. Buckhout again before we head it. Okay, so yeah, they're calling it so America First Insight uh, has or not endorsed, but has called the race for Lori Buckout in NC01, and the now Trump plus 10 district should be one for her come November. So yeah, that was one of the main questions that we had today. Oh, got a question from at Roy3121. How's John Carter doing? Let's check out real quick how Mr. Carter is doing this evening. John Carter is here. We're gonna pull him up. Here, I'm gonna share the screen here. Wait, John Carter is actually don't need to share this. John Carter is looking like he is going to be the nominated for the House. And Valentina Gomez, so I'm sure you guys have seen some of her campaign ads this year, particularly aggressive against Muslims, known for that, quote, calling dirty, dirty Muslims, lots of aggressive attacks against Muslims. Not looking like there's the video of her burning the Quran, I believe it's pronounced, with a flamethrower. Not looking like it's going to translate, though, into electoral success. Got some clicks online, definitely got popular that way, or at least well known, I should say. However, is, only is in third place, actually, in the race, has a 2,250 votes, and the next candidate, Raymond Hamden, has 2,330 votes, with John Carter at 15,530 votes. So he has 59%, and those other two candidates have about 17 to 18% of the vote. Looking like Mr. Carter might even avoid a runoff right now. So thank you, Roy, for the question. Wonderful question. And at ZCVXS says, make some chicken soup and get some rest. I'm on my way to the $5 Tuesday movies. Which movie are you going to see? That's exciting. $5 for a movie. That sounds like a lot of fun. Hope you enjoy the movie theaters tonight. Thank you for watching your little pre-movie with joining Awoken with Aulden. Appreciate your support. Yeah, very exciting. Glad you guys were on the stream tonight. So, little programming note. So, probably do some type of vertical live in the morning, chit chat, meet some of y'all at Wuthering Heights. I haven't heard of that movie before. Hope you enjoy it though. Oh, a graphic R-rated romantic drama released on Valentine's Day the 13th. Okay, well, yeah, hope you enjoy the romantic drama tonight. And thank you, Alden, for all your energy and support. Yeah, glad. Thank you for joining the Awoken and awakening yourself to the truth and reality about our political system. All right, everybody. Well, unless if anyone else has any comments or questions, concerns, anything like that, little programming note, tomorrow night around the same time, around 8:15 per usual, for Awoken Wednesdays, we'll be talking all about Iran. It's an Iran-heavy episode. We're going to be discussing the future of what the conflict might appear to look like, as tomorrow is day 5 of this tussle, or even war, some are now calling it. And love Margaret Robbie. Oh, that's she was in she was Barbie, wasn't she? Yeah, she was in the Barbie movie a couple years ago. So very cool. Okay, everybody. Well, yeah. Thrilled you guys were here. Thank you very much for checking things out. If you have a buddy that you might feel like enjoy this content, please send my channel their way. We are looking to build the Awoken organically. I'm not buying followers. I'm not doing paid promotions. I'm doing it through meeting people like yourself if you're on the stream tonight. So thank you very much for tuning in. But okay, everybody. Well, I think we will. Yeah, we're going to end things here, unless there's something in the next couple of seconds. As I mentioned, we will be talking about Iran tomorrow night, so you'll definitely don't want to miss that episode. Okay, everybody. So, with that, you have been awoken with Aulden. All right, much love, everybody. Good night. We will see you tomorrow evening for Awoken Wednesday.